Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah and I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. If you have not already, just take a quick second and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday and you are not going to want to miss it. So with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. You did it. It's the weekend. Happy Friday, you guys. I have had a pretty good week thus far. I cannot complain. I got back. I told you guys that I was going to a bachelorette party over the weekend. I did that, and I can safely say that while it was a great time, I am very happy to be home. I am very happy to be back in routine, back in my space, back with Hayden. I am just happy to be back. I think any experience where you go on like a group trip with an excess amount of people is a lot, especially people that you don't really know. It was fun. Like, don't get me wrong. Everyone was so nice and we had a really great time. All the girls like meshed really well together, but I'm definitely just glad to be home. That's all I have to say about that. But other than that, this week has basically just been that, getting back into routine, back into the swing of things. I'm very excited for this weekend. My family's coming into town this weekend. My mom is coming into town. Jackson is coming into town. If you don't know, that's my brother. I'm just very excited to have some quality family time. So very excited about that. We're going to go to like a 4th of July carnival on Sunday. That's going to be really fun. Also, oh my God, you guys. Okay, just quick tidbit. It is Church's birthday today. He is 2 years old. By the time you guys hear this, his birthday will already have passed. His birthday is June 26th. And that's when I'm filming this. And I cannot believe that he is 2. I remember getting him like it was yesterday. And I just love him so much. And I cannot believe that we have a 2-year-old on our hands. That is crazy. And I need him to stop growing up because it makes me cry. So just wanted to point that out. Happy birthday, Church. I'm obsessed with him and I love him so much. I'm just, again, obsessed. But anyways, that is not what we are here to talk about today. As you can tell by the title of today's episode, today we are talking about what I like to call a heartbreak pep talk or a big sister's guide to heartbreak. I am here to kind of give you guys my advice from someone who has been there, things that have helped me along the way in a heartbreak, because I don't know what's in the air or in the water, but I am seeing a lot of people break up on social media. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't want any part of it. I'm not touching it with the 10-foot pole, but what I can do is give you the advice to hopefully help you if this is something that you are dealing with. That way we can give you the hot girl summer that you very well deserve. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and I'm really excited about it. If you don't remember, I used to do these on my YouTube channel a bunch, like the heartbreak pep talks used to be something that I was really, really like consistent with, and they were always videos that you guys loved. You guys were really into them. You guys really had a great reaction to them. So I'm really excited to jump into it today. Now, none of these are really in any particular order. This is just kind of like my free-flowing thoughts when it comes to breakups and how you can kind of help shift your mentality to help you get through them a little bit easier. So the first thing that I want to talk about when going through a breakup, I feel like it's really easy to sit there. And when you're going through all the motions, everything is new and fresh. When you're going through a breakup, especially if you were the one who was broken up with, whether that was because something had happened, whether that was because, it just wasn't the right time, whatever the circumstance may be, everyone's situation when it comes to a breakup is going to be different. When you are going through a breakup, it is very easy to sit there and start spiraling all of the questions of, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? And it is a tumultuous cycle that we allow ourselves to go down, and we try and look for answers that really aren't there. But I think what's really important to understand is that things are happening for you, not to you. And you guys have probably heard that saying before. It is one that it gets talked about many, 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 many times, but it's very true. I always say that the cliches are cliche for a reason, and this is one of them. When things happen unexpectedly or we get heartbroken, we often get into that rut, right? Of being like, this is happening to me. Like, why is this happening to me? Again, you go through all of the questions, but it's important to remind yourself that certain things get taken away from you, like certain things get removed from your life so new things can fall into place. And once that next chapter unfolds, it's going to unfold in a way that you never expected. And you're going to sit there once it happens and you're going to remind yourself, this would have never been able to happen had you not gone through this heartbreak. This new chapter, this new experience, a new relationship, a new anything. Like, there's so many endless opportunities that could come out of it. And I know it's hard and it's easy to sit there and kind of get into that rut of like, it's all negative. Why is this happening to me? But reminding yourself that things get taken away so new things can fall into place. A personal example that I can give you guys from this is I remember before I moved to Nashville, I was seeing this guy, and it was a very it was very situationship, and it was very much just not good for my mental health whatsoever. And when we ended, I remember I took it really hard. I remember it was really difficult for me. It was hard for me to kind of grasp what went wrong, where, the final straw was broken, like what kind of happened for us to not work. And I, once we broke up and once we ended things, that is when I decided I'm moving to Nashville. I'm getting out of here. I can't deal with California anymore. I'm moving to Nashville. And that was something that I had wanted to do for so long, move here. But I had, given myself excuse time after time again for why I shouldn't, why I should just wait it out, why I should just stay, whatever. And ultimately I was like, okay, this is my in. This is when I'm going to go to Nashville. And I did it. 2 months later, I met Hayden. Now we live in a house together. We have a dog together. We have a great life together. And there's been so many times throughout the course of our relationship, Hayden and I's, where I've stopped and been like, none of this would have happened had I not made that leap of faith, had I not, had gotten knocked down so many times, had, X, Y, and Z breakups not happened. Because I think by the time I ended my last long-term relationship to moving to Nashville, I had probably like a couple different situationships, more than I'm proud to admit. So a couple different, not breakups, but ending of things. And I would keep trying and trying and trying. And ultimately I was done. And I was like, I am getting out of here. And it really just, again, went to show and prove this point of things get taken away from you so new things can fall into place. Opportunities will come into your life that would have never been able to happen had certain things not happened to you. It's kind of like that everything happens for a reason type of mentality, which is really important when you think about things like this and when you think about heartbreak and when you're thinking of, in that moment, while it's also fresh, all of the negatives and you're feeling like in a rut and you're feeling in a pit and you're, all of the emotions are flowing, just remind yourself that it's going to get better and this needed to happen. You might not understand the reason for why it needed to happen just quite yet, but soon enough, you very much will. So just start there. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about, and this kind of goes back into something that I said in the beginning, is we are never going to have all of the answers. As I said, once we start asking but once we start asking ourselves these questions of why did this happen? Why did it end like this? What could I have done differently? Those are very toxic and draining questions to ask yourself, because you can sit there forever and ask yourself until you're blue in the face. You can dissect every single part of the relationship, every single conversation, every single text message, every single argument. You can sit there and do that time and time again, trying to look for the why of why things happened, or trying to find the moment where things changed, trying to find the final straw moment. And one of the inevitable truths of life, and it's also just one of the unfortunate truths of life, is that sometimes we will never have those answers. We can think and wonder and maybe think that we have it figured out, but sometimes we just won't ever know. And you might never be okay with that, because I know there's been many situations in my life where I'm like, I'm not okay with that. Like, I want to know the answer. I want to know why things happen the way that they do. I like to, have closure in that sense, because I feel like if I know the answer, at least I can be like, okay, this is what happened, start to finish, and I can close the chapter. But sometimes we don't get to know those answers. And again, it's just one of those things that sucks about life. But the sooner you stop driving yourself crazy over it, the better. You might never figure it out. You might never know. You can even have a conversation with the person that you're breaking up with, asking them what happened, and they won't be able to give you the answer that you're looking for or that you need. And 9 out of 10 times, you guys, even if you do have the answer, it's not going to make you feel better. Like, it's really not going to do anything for you in the long run. You might feel like a little satisfaction or a little gratification knowing that you have some answer, but typically every time I've been given like an answer, I'm making it sound like I've been broken up with like every single time, but every time I've been given an answer, it's never like, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, okay, like that's just, it honestly makes it worse and like annoying for me to listen to, because I'm like, just stop talking. I think it's just important to remember and remind yourself that it can be a toxic cycle to go down the web of what happened, when did, minds change, when did the idea of us being together for someone else not work for them? Like, when did they know that this wasn't it? When did they decide that we weren't going to do this anymore? You can ask yourselves those questions so many times, but it will do nothing for you. Sometimes it's better to not have the answer. Sometimes it's better to just wipe your hands clean of it and move on from it. It might be harder in the moment because, again, I think it's just natural human nature. We want to know these things, but sometimes it's just better to move on from it. So again, like I said, the sooner you stop driving yourself crazy over that, the sooner you allow yourself to just have peace and accept it and move on, the better it's going to be from you in the long run, and for you in the long run, as I should say. So that's also something that I wanted to put out there. The next one, having the mental funeral. You need to do what you need to do in order to get over a breakup. It just is what it is. And everyone's going to be different. Some people just like to bury it and move on. I don't recommend it, but I've been there, done that, so I get it. Some people like to really be expressive and whatever. So whatever it is that you need to do, do it. If you need to scream and cry, do it. Hold the mental funeral, because a loss is a loss no matter what. There have been situationships that I have had a harder time getting over than my long-term relationship of 3 years. I've had harder time getting over shorter relationships and longer relationships. The time frame doesn't matter, and don't let anyone convince you that it does, because I think it's really easy for other people to look in and be like, oh, you were only together for X amount of months. Like, you shouldn't feel sad about it. Don't let anyone tell you what you should be feeling in that moment, because all that matters is what your feelings are, and to be truthful about them to yourself specifically. If you're upset, be upset, channel into that energy. But I think it's really important to just hold the mental funeral. I've said it for years. And what I really mean by that is reminding yourself of who this person is, realizing that this person is no longer serving you in your life. This person is no longer, adding anything beneficial to your life, anything positive. You guys are moving on in separate directions. You are going to be better off without them, and just close the chapter and on to the next. I actually, like, in my brain, when I used to do this, I used to have to physically think about like a book closing, and that really helped me. I don't know why, but I would say all these things to myself, not say them, but I would, think all of these things to myself about what the relationship was. I would be like, okay, this is what it was. This is what I need to leave it as. I'm just going to, put it back onto the bookshelf or burn the book, whatever. But again, mentally in my mind. You could do it physically, but be safe. When I would do these things, I would then sit there and then mentally think of a book closing. Because to me, that resembled a chapter closing. It signified a part of my life closing, and then I would move on from it. It was just helpful because it didn't feel like I had all of these scattered thoughts about the relationship. And again, this does not have to be some like, big ordeal that you do. It literally can take like 20 seconds and you just close your eyes, mental funeral, on to the next. That's just what we do. And that has always really, really helped me. But again, I do want to, stress not to let anyone tell you what you should be feeling during a breakup, because no one knew the ins and outs of your relationship more than you. No one knew the feelings that you had during that relationship more than you. And so no one is going to be able to understand how you feel at the end of the relationship more than you. And if people are telling you, oh, you shouldn't feel like this, or it wasn't long enough for you guys to feel like this, or, why are you taking it so seriously? Have a boundary, because those aren't friends. I have friends, and I know, throughout my life, I've been in situations with friends where, either I got broken up with, my friends have gotten broken up with, and it's hard. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter how long they were together. And I can't even imagine being like, you really shouldn't be that upset about it because you guys weren't together for that long. That's a shitty friend. Don't allow yourself to have shitty friends. While you're at it, hold the mental funeral for that friend too, because that just shouldn't be happening. So that's something else that I wanted to talk about. Okay, next, rose-colored glasses versus reality. This is something that I've talked to you guys before. I know I have. I know I brought it up before, but I learned something. It's the one thing that I remember learning when I was in college, and it's called the first impression bias. Essentially, what it means is when you meet someone, like the first time you meet, those first feelings that you have, or like the peak moments that you have together, those are the memories and the feelings that our brain holds on to when it comes to someone else. So for example, if I meet a guy and I'm single and I meet a guy and he's great, he's great, checks all the boxes, we have great chemistry, everything's amazing. And then a few months down the line, things start getting toxic and we start getting in fights and things start snowballing and it's just turning out to not be a great relationship. My mind instinctively will hold on to those initial memories that I had, those initial feelings that I had for this guy, those initial good feelings that I had. That's the first impression bias. You're biased by that first impression. And it really makes a lot of sense when you think about the course of relationships. I'm sure you can think of many friends that you have where you see them have toxic relationships and you're like, oh my God, why are you still going back time after time after time? It's because of that first impression bias. Our mind automatically goes to the good memories that we have for that person and with that person, and it makes us want to fight through and it makes us want to see through the relationship. And so we just kind of put aside the reality of what the situation is. Hence, rose-colored glasses versus reality. So the first impression bias is very, very prominent when it comes to breakups, because when we get broken up with, our mind doesn't go to, what happened that caused the breakup. It doesn't go to all the fights. It doesn't go to, oh, maybe this is actually a good thing for me. Maybe I'm getting rid of someone who, either cheated on me or lied to me or was mean to me. Our mind doesn't go there. Our mind has a tendency to automatically just go to, oh my God, but do you remember all the good stuff? Do you remember all the good memories? Remember when you guys did that? Remember how much you loved them? Like, remember this, remember that? It's really, really hard to think about the reality of the situation when you are in that deep, because again, our mind likes to play tricks on us and our mind likes to be like, oh, no, but remember this, remember that, remember how nice he was. And that is when you really need to take a moment and you need to take a deep breath and you need to remind yourself that the memories that your mind is playing back for you, all of the things that are making you think, well, maybe I should have done this, maybe I could have done this better or that better. Your mind is playing tricks on you. You need to remember the reality of the situation, and you need to remember that sometimes what is happening is for your greater good, when it comes to a heartbreak. It's easy to go back and be like, oh no, but I remember this one time. No, don't let your mind do that. It's not worth it. And honestly, this might be a toxic tip. I know it is, but this is my thoughts exactly. A toxic tip that I always like to do is whatever you have to do to make the person seem like a bad person in your mind, do it. Whatever you have to tell yourself, whatever, reach you have to make while you were in a relationship, you didn't like this, you didn't like that, you didn't like this. Remind yourself of those things over and over again. Some might say that that's negative. Some might say that that's draining. Some might say that that's toxic. Personally, I think it's smart because I would rather do that and remind myself of all of the things that didn't work in the relationship that I put up with rather than all of the things or some of the things that I actually did like the good qualities. What is reminding myself of the good qualities of that person going to do for me? It's not going to do a single damn thing for me. So for me, when I'm going through something like that, I'll sit there and I'll be like, and I'll have a friend and we'll be chit-chatting over a glass of wine and we'll be like, oh, remember when he did that? Or remember when he did that? Remember when he did that? Yeah, we don't like that. We don't fuck with that. And so reminding yourself of those things instead of the, oh, well, he was really nice to me, 6 weeks ago on a Tuesday afternoon. No, we're not doing that. We're not reminding ourselves of the good things. And again, I know that some might say that's toxic, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And sometimes talking shit helps. Sorry. Moving on, the 4-day rule. I've talked to you guys about this before, and previously I told you guys that I like to do a 3-day rule. Now I've kind of extended it and I've given it a 4-day rule. The fact of the matter is, no matter if it's 3 days, 4 days, a week, whatever, take as long as you need. I think I need to preface this rule with that. Take as long as you need to get through a breakup. Take as long as you need to work things out. Take as long as you need to figure it out. But what I mean by the 4-day rule is the 4-day rule, I give myself 4 days. The first day, the breakup, I let myself feel all of the feelings. Feel it, do whatever I have to do, however I want to process it, that's what I do. And I allow myself that for 4 days. But by the 4th day, and this is why I changed it from the 3-day rule to the 4-day rule, by the 4th day, I'm ready to start, getting things back into gear again. I don't really want to sit and, sulk in my sorrows. The 3rd day is still kind of questionable, which is why I extended it one more day. By the 4th day, I know myself well enough and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of itching. I need to start doing something. I need to be a little bit more productive and I need to do one thing a day that makes me feel better about myself. Whatever you need to do during those 4 days, everyone's is going to look different. Some people are going to want to rot. And by rot, I mean sit on the couch with a blanket and a glass of wine and just watch TV all day. Some people are going to want to do yoga and feel zen and feel one with the world and whatever. You're going to want to drink ice cream. Not drink ice cream. You're going to want to eat ice cream. You're going to want to eat your favorite comfort meal. You're going to want to be around your friends, or maybe you're going to want to not be around anyone and you're just going to want to sit by yourself and just sit in a dark room. Whatever you have to do for the 4 days, do it. But after the 4 days, whether it's on day 4 or technically on day 5, start to pick yourself back up. Start picking yourself back up and start slowly acclimating into a routine again, because now things are going to look different. The routine that you once had is not going to be the routine that you have anymore, because again, you're going through a breakup. A big part of your life has shifted, has altered. And when that happens, obviously the routine that you once had is no longer going to be, because, in your routine before, it could have been you had a date night every week, or you guys drove to work together, or you guys did all the little things together. You're not going to have that anymore, but there is power in that. I know everyone thinks that it's this big loss. There is a gain in that. And the gain is you get your independence, you get your power, and you get to really reclaim yourself again. And it can be scary. It can be a scary thing that people don't know how to navigate because it's the unknown. Once we're in a relationship and we've kind of acclimated to what the routine is in that relationship, any sort of change is going to feel uncomfortable. Any change in life feels uncomfortable. But again, I think it's important to remember that the loss that we feel doesn't have to be so daunting and negative. You can regain your power again and start doing the things that you want to do. Start filling up your days with things that make you feel happy, that make you feel excited, that make you want to get out of bed in the morning, whether that's starting off your day with a walk. I always think getting outside in some capacity, which mind you, in this Nashville heat right now, it doesn't play around. But getting outside in some capacity, whether that's going for a walk, whether that is going for a drive, blasting the music, windows down. Nighttime is my favorite time to do it, but whichever time of the day you prefer, that's something where you can just really just, block out the world, but also see other people. That's, I think, always something that's helped me, is seeing other people walking around, seeing other people in the public living their lives. It always has helped me feeling like that and seeing that, because it's made me realize that life keeps going. Life keeps moving. When you go through such a devastating heartbreak, it's really easy to sit there and be like, how is everyone still existing? How is everyone still moving on? How am I supposed to continue on when this has just happened, when I've just gone through something like this? But getting out into, society, even though sometimes we really don't want to do it, forcing yourself to just get out into society a little bit by little, whether that's, again, a walk, a drive. A drive is perfect, honestly, because you don't have to talk to anyone. A walk is great too, because you're getting your steps in, getting a little bit of exercise, but getting yourself outside and seeing other people live, it makes things, at least it's always for me, made things feel a little less daunting and a little less scary. Because again, when you go through these changes and when you are trying to reacclimate yourself and readjust to a brand new routine and lifestyle, you oftentimes can feel very alone in doing that. And seeing other people live their lives has always helped me feel better in those moments. Another thing that I think is really important is having your people surround you in that moment. Having a good friend or a sibling or a parent or a cousin or anyone out there who can really help. You can lean on them during that time. You can have that support during that time, because there's going to be times where it's going to hit you out of nowhere. The recovery period, the healing period is not linear. There is going to be times where you feel completely over it, and then there's going to be times where it feels like it hit you like a ton of bricks, and you're going to get upset because you're going to be like, I thought I was over it. Why am I not over it? Why am I still going through these things? And it's so normal to feel that way. But I think what's really, a really helpful tool in that moment is to have someone who you can just text really quick and be like, I'm just having a moment. I'm having a moment, I'm having an issue, and I just need to talk it through with someone. Because when you feel that, when you get hit with a ton of bricks, your first instinct is going to be to reach out to your ex, because you're going to be like, oh, well, maybe we have some unfinished business. Maybe there's something that we need to talk through. Maybe there's something we need to talk about. But again, that is your mind playing tricks on you. It is your mind quite literally detoxing from a person, detoxing from a chapter. And instead of texting that ex, or instead of texting your, past partner, have a friend, have someone you can rely on, have someone you can just shoot a quick text to and be like, I'm having a moment, and talk it through with them. That's going to be more beneficial to you in the long run, not texting your ex. Do not text your ex. I feel like I haven't said that yet. Don't do it. Do not text your ex. I promise you nothing beneficial is going to come out of it, because what's going to happen is you're going to start healing, right? You're going to be on your little healing journey. Everything's going to be going great. You're going to be marching along, la-di-da-di-da. Then there's going to be a moment where you get hit with a ton of bricks. If you text your ex, you're starting back at square one. We don't want to do that. We do not want to do that. We want to continue on our path. And even though it's not linear, it's still moving. When we text our ex, which if you do it, it is okay. However, I highly advise against it. Just don't do it. When you do text, you're just starting yourself back from square one. All of those feelings are going to come up again, and you're never going to get the answer that you want. You're never going to be satisfied. You are never going to text your ex, and you're never going to feel better about it. And I know everyone knows this, but again, we always just in our mind, we're like, oh, no. Like I need to say one thing, or why did he, I need an answer. And again, that goes back. You're never going to have the answers you want. You're never going to be fully satisfied. You're never going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, we just had a really great conversation. And if you do, power to you. You're with a very you were with a very emotionally intelligent person. I'm sure you're very emotionally intelligent, but I could say 10 out of 10 times, it's not going to give you the reaction that you want. It's not going to give you the response that you want. And if anything, it's just going to set you back in your healing journey. The last thing I want to tell you guys when it comes to this whole Big Sister's Guide to a Heartbreak is, I say this all the time, but it's just, I think, comforting when other people say it. And that's why I like to say it all the time to you, because I think it's easy to feel really alone. I think it's really easy to feel like no one understands and no one gets it. And it's easy to feel like it's never going to get better because you've been trying and trying and trying. And you're sitting here listening to me talk about a 4-day rule. And you're like, Savannah, it's been 4 months. Like, fuck a 4-day rule. Like, it's been 4 months. No matter how long it takes you, and I said this earlier, no matter how long it takes you, it is okay. However long it takes to get through something, it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter if it's 4 days or 4 months. My 4-day rule is really just to kind of start getting reacclimated and getting moving. But as far as mentally, obviously you're not going to be over it in just 4 days. It's going to take some time. However long it takes you, there's going to be days where it feels like it's impossible. There's going to be days where it feels like, why am I still, like, you're going to get mad at yourself because you're going to be like, why do I still care when clearly someone else doesn't? Why can I not move on and someone else who was my entire world acts like I wasn't even a page in theirs? Like, that is going to really it gets to be a tumultuous cycle again. And trust me, I've been there. But what I want to remind you is, for however long it takes you, what you need to remember is that you are going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through it. You're going to meet someone else. You're going to have different experiences. You're going to meet new people. You're going to date again. You might even experience another heartbreak again, or you might be breaking up with someone again. The future is full of unknowns, but the one thing that I can pretty much guarantee is that you are going to be okay. And even though it doesn't feel like it right now, it will. It just takes time, and that sucks. But they do have that saying of time heals all. And I really believe that to be true. It might not heal all, but it definitely makes it better. And you can now dedicate the time that you do have to doing all of the things that, you put on the back burner. Because I think that's natural. Sometimes when we get in a relationship, we put things to the side that we, enjoy, or because we didn't have the time and we were prioritizing someone else. Reintroduce those things into your life. Rediscover who you are. Rediscover what you want this next chapter of yourself and for yourself to be. But regardless, you're going to be okay. And that, you guys, is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you have not already, make sure you are subscribed. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we post here every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I will be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, and I will see you there. Bye, guys.